Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome to another late night stream of mine. So tonight we start a little bit earlier than yesterday evening. And welcome to UBOAT. So once more we slip into the role of a German submarine commander in Second World War. Haha, yes, weight loss, yeah. Nice to have you in. Good evening. So, how are you doing? How was your Friday? I hope you smoothly slipped out of the week into the weekend. Yeah, let me briefly finish my intro. So, guys, welcome. So, what I'm doing, I'm playing UBOAT, which is, in my opinion, the best submarine simulation that we ever got. So, it's a great game, and you can play in a complete open world, play free missions, and that's what I do. I did start this whole campaign at the very beginning of the Second World War in September 39, and since then I am doing a complete playthrough, mission by mission, sharing just every adventure with you, my dear friends, on Twitch. And since a while I also do upload the streams afterwards on YouTube, and there is also a nice little community there, so thank you guys for the follows that I get and for watching the YouTube videos as well. Of course, I understand that it's a bit of a challenge because I just don't have the time for cutting, so if you look at this video on YouTube, please understand that you just have to go skip through it, maybe do a little bit of fast forward and find some action. Yeah, this game is very deep in terms of immersion, and so it's not an arcade quick action game, but it is really, it has its emphasis on realism, on immersion, and so it sometimes has its lengths. You have to be patient, but on the other hand you can enjoy the beautiful scenery that you get at different daytimes, different seasons, different weather at sea. That's just great. So the game takes place in a complete open world, so you could sail just anywhere. Actually, it is most recommendable to sail where your seniors want you to sail to. And you see there is plenty of different scenarios, like here mine laying missions on the British Isles, and then these kind of standard missions where you just have to go for patrol and doing tonnage. And I've been doing all these missions since the very beginning of the war, and now it's more than 4 years later. We had adventures on the other side of the Atlantic. We had adventures in the Arctic Sea, which was, I would say, the most challenging missions that I had up to now. And after that we finally went to the Mediterranean, where we are right now. So that's where we are, with 205,000 tons sunk in this set of missions, which already gave us a check on the first two parts of the mission, and now it's still something like 45,000 tons to go to finish this Mediterranean campaign. Yeah, if you look at, here we just sank a merchantman yesterday night, and because it was pretty late I just logged off after having sunk that ship, and here we are. Let's report. There we even see the lifeboats floating on the sea. The ship has sunk. There is no debris. That's a bit of good or bad luck, whether there remains some debris on the surface or not. Some flotsam or jetsam. I'm never sure which is what. But I have been told that in terms of naval law that there is a very, very large difference between jetsam and flotsam, whatever it might be. But none of them here, just the two remaining lifeboats. So what we have to do is manning the radio to report the success of sinking the ship Empire Lord. We are reporting it to the headquarters. So Mr. Hinrich has manned the radio. Now let's report. I'm not quite sure whether the tonnage was already registered and accounted for. Yeah, it was. So the point is we are at bingo fuel, so half of the fuel used, so it might be reasonable to turn back home. We did sink a considerable amount of tonnage, and since a while we already had fulfilled the mission. I think we had to sink 7,000 tons, and I'm pretty sure that now we have sunk more than 10,000 tons. Ah, okay, interesting. Lost cargo or purposefully jettisoned cargo. Okay, interesting. So if you find something floating on the waves, you could never tell whether it's flotsam or jetsam if you don't know the history of it. Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember one of the first novels of O'Brien? When they were sailing with the sloop, I think there was a big chase, and at some point they were to throw all the cannons, the great guns, overboard to gain more speed. Anybody remembers that scene? I think finally it doesn't help them because they were caught by that other ship. I don't know, was it a Quebec or something? Yes, yeah. Only that the cannons, of course, would be neither, because they would probably not stay afloat. So, yeah, we could do them something good and give them some. I already did give them some supplies, obviously, yesterday. So let's get back home. Cruise speed, and let's go. By the way, Mr. Hinrich, you can go back to your well-earned off-watch. And our other radio officer, Mr. Strauss, is doing the job on the radar detector. So, by the way, good evening. There are a few more guys dropping into the chat, dropping into the stream. So, welcome, guys. Great to have you. Yeah, don't worry. I don't know who you are. So, if you want to watch anonymously, you are warmly welcome. Perfectly fine if you just lurk. But of course, I'm always glad if you make yourself noticeable in the chat. So, time, it's evening, almost 7 o'clock, and there we are, turning back home. And what is home? Our home port is La Spezia in northern Italy, the name being well known to anybody who has watched the movie. So I guess that all of us who are playing this game here are kind of submarine aficionados and have watched the movie multiple times, if not dozens of times. Yeah, new stream, new save. 471. And there we are. And let's do a little bit of time acceleration. Radio transmission.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Jawohl, Herr Kaloy.
Yeah, weight loss. I'm not quite sure, but I think I may remember that you once mentioned that you entered university recently, and yeah, I think the summer term is drawing to an end right now, and so probably a bit of a stressy time to prepare for exams then. And on we go. Yeah, here, just for the guys who might watch and are not that familiar with the game, whenever I assign additional sailors from off-watch to support one of the offices, here, like for example with the engines, this would reduce the fuel usage rate. Because together, those three guys, the officer, Mr. Grade, our chief engineer, and the two sailors, are able to fine-tune all the valves and everything of the engines to max out the efficiency.
Ich benötige etwas Unterstützung.
Yeah, while we are on the way, why not doing another hydrophone check? Would be nice if we could sink one or two more ships en passant on the way back home. Check. Okay, there we go. Hydrophone check
Peilung 285 Grad.
means that we bring the boat down to 50 meters under the surface, and down there everything
Tiefe
grows very quiet, and the hydrophone, yeah, really develops its true large detection range. So, which is at the moment 70. It would be even a bit more when we have reached 50 meters. The crew will turn off the engines, and this gives us, let's see, a maximum range at the moment of 85. Could be more. It depends on several boundary conditions. For example, the weather. If you have rough sea up there, it would give us a lot of background noise and reduce the range of the hydrophone. But now we already have one contact. This guy is said to be moving not with slow but medium speed,
50 Meter.
and that close to the coast. I don't know. Kind of feels like it might be a fisherman, but we are gonna find out.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
But let's finish. So, in this standard workflow, the crew keeps the boat down at 50 meters with engines turned off for 5 minutes, and then we are gonna go back to the surface. And the good thing is that you don't have to do all the micromanagement about that process. But
Ja.
Aktuelle Tiefe
yeah, the crew just follows that workflow. Obviously, I still had the captain forced to man the hydrophone manually, and this is why he's now completely run down in fitness and definitely needs some sleep. So if you don't interfere manually, like here, there is this option, stop direct orders, and then a lot of stuff is done by sane reasoning of the crew. So this is what I pretty much like about the game. It's, for me, it feels like exactly the right amount of captaincy, of having control of the important things, but not having to do all too much micromanagement. So from that point of view, this is really I would even say it's the only game which really manages to give you that feeling of being in command of a real crew. By the way, there is a new early access game available, which is Battleship Commander. Did anybody of you try it or heard of it? I had seen the teaser video, and I actually, after I have seen the teaser video in the afternoon, I actually bought it and installed it. But yeah, I just took a look at it for 15 minutes before I started this stream, having a little walk around the ship. But I already love it because you could really go along the ship, not like Destroyer. There is this other game, I think it's called just Destroyer, and where you actually have to hunt submarines. Also a nice game, but you could just flip between the stations, and yeah, I really love it if you could, like, freely walk across your own ship like in U-boat. And this is what you can do there as well. and all the rest I just didn't yet have the time or patience to dive in detail. But I think it looks pretty alright. It's early access, so there is no campaign yet. And yeah, I would be curious how they would realize the campaign. I mean, U-boats are lone wolves, so it's pretty straightforward, but a battleship is always part of a task force, I think. And so
Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi.
a campaign might be more complex.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
That's what I think.
Kurs setzen.
45 Meter.
So if these guys are ordinary merchantmen, they might be moving with something like 8 knots. And what about us? Now, when we are in chasing mode, we are going to go for flank speed. So within 1 hour we should do 16 miles. Time is 10 past 6. So let's go for the target for 1 hour and then do another hydrophone check. And then after 1 hour we should see what their new position is and would be able to extrapolate their course and their speed. So if they have moved 8 miles in 1 hour, that would be 8 knots. Yeah, easy calculation. Okay, we've just switched to the changed to the next time zone. Six o'clock, change of watch.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung. Jawohl, ich kümmere mich darum.
Navigation besetzen.
I would like to keep up the high speed, so sorry guys, one of you actually has to interrupt their watch, their off watch, and I need one of the engineers attending to the engines. Now 1 hour and the next hydrophone check.
Auf 50 Meter.
So this should reveal whether this guy is just a fisherman or a reasonable target, which is worthwhile to chase. So weight loss, you have been playing it for a while already? I mean, Battleship? Or Battleship Commander. I think that's the name, right? Yeah, I read that it was programmed just by one single guy up to now. Battleship Command, yeah.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
25 Meter.
Schraubengeräusch. Handelsschiff. Teilung 345 Grad.
Aktuelle Tiefe.
Just a bit of water in the bilge, uncritical.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Ooh, that looks good. So this guy is definitely not a fisherman. Nice.
50 Meter.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen. Meter.
Yeah, although we now have detected them already, I would still finish the 5 minutes of hydrophone check just in case that other targets are abroad. So after 1 hour, this guy should be there.
50 Meter.
7 actually.
Meter.
Yeah, this new game, Battleship Command, it is published by Microprose. And yeah, lately I'm always a bit skeptical when I see a game by Microprose, because do you remember that submarine? I think a year ago or something, Microprose published a submarine, Second World War submarine simulator. And it was, well, yeah, let's name it. It was pretty embarrassing. I mean, if you know that something like UBOAT is on the market, you really wonder how anybody could dare to publish something like that game, which they did publish. I felt it to be pretty ridiculous, actually. And since then, I'm always a bit skeptical about Microprose. Although one of my, if if I would make a list of the top 10 games that you must have played before you die, there is one Microprose game which is definitely on that list, and this is the old UFO Enemy Unknown. That was Microprose in, what was it, early 90s, I think. A long time ago. And it was such a great game. But, yeah. Yeah, well, weight loss, okay, maybe I'm a bit unfair if I put it like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to mention it was Sea Power, right? And if you look at the reviews, Sea Power is pretty well received by the gamers, isn't it? And I was already thinking about getting it. Yeah, I think it is. I'm just not quite sure if it is in my wheelhouse, because it's kind of, yeah, it is a bit different to U-Boat, right? But I'm really considering getting that game. Okay, it does have a decent, or several decent campaigns already. Yeah, maybe I should try it. Mm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
50 Meter.
Yeah, I mean, sorry if I had been talking shit about that submarine simulation. And maybe you're right. It's just a kind of, yeah, different expectation that they serve.
Kurs setzen.
Yeah, but still, from my personal point of view, it was a big disappointment. Maybe I just didn't read the
5 Meter.
I didn't read the fucking manual before I bought the game.
Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Yes, what just crossed my mind that, yeah, now since a while I'm always uploading my streams also to YouTube afterwards. And what I heard is that if you use, for example, the F word in your stream, that you're kind of downrated, on YouTube for being presented to other YouTube watchers. Yeah. Yeah, so it's just this one thing that I mention again and again. It's the limited time. So I spend a lot of time with UBOAT. And to be honest, I don't have very much time left to dive into other games. Actually, lately I did a little bit of a deep dive back into Skyrim. I always loved the game, and yeah, when I was talking about the top 10 games that you must have played before you die, Skyrim would also be on my personal list. And I actually installed some kind of hardcore large-scale mod which makes the enemies much harder, and I started the game back from scratch. But like usual, as usual, I will probably get stuck pretty early because I just don't have the time to go through a whole campaign of Skyrim. Yeah, that would be great to do a 1 year sabbatical. Just to pick something like the 3 or 4 games that you never managed to do the playthrough, and then take that year to do the playthrough in Skyrim, in Black Flag. What else would be great? Yeah, there might be a few. Or Dead Red Redemption. Great game. Or this medieval Kingdom Come. And I even never managed to get far into Kingdom Come 1. Although the game is so great. So, yeah. So, I'm getting a bit distracted. It's early morning, good to know. So this is gonna be a daylight encounter most probably. And let's do the time acceleration until 7:10. And here we are. And let's do another hydrophone check.
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
So, if my figures are all right, they should be there by now, roughly here. Just extrapolating their course and speed. Yeah, dear watchers, so what you see here is that I am playing with almost maximum difficulty level, and one of the challenges is that I don't get the contacts automatically being displayed on the map, but I really have to do that tracking manually. Pretty much like that feature.
Aktuelle Tiefe 25 Meter. Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Sturmgeräusch. Handelsschiff. Peilung 45 Grad.
Okay, looks like they are going a bit slower than
50 Meter.
extrapolated. Yeah, but still pretty sure this is not a fisherman.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloin?
So maybe they're moving not with 8 but more with something like 7 knots.
55 Meter.
Now let's finish the hydrophone check and allow me to be AFK for 20 seconds.
Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter. Meter.
Yeah, like usual, let's finish the 5 minutes and see if any other contacts might have moved into our detection range. Yeah, maybe I should really try sea power. Yeah, it's definitely on my wish list since a while. And there is one more game on my wish list which seems to be pretty similar to Sea Power. I just don't quite remember the name. I would have to look it up in my wish list. Ah, it's on sale. Yeah, right. Yep. Okay, good hint. Good hint. So, what's the price when it's on sale? Something like $30 or something? I mean, it's early access, maybe even less. 40, okay. Yeah, but still. I'm gonna sleep it over and maybe I'm gonna get it tomorrow. Yeah, weight loss. If you do this kind of advertising for the game, I think it should really be worthwhile to try it. I think we are pretty much in phase about these kind of games. Well, and additionally, you actually have the professional expertise, yeah. Okay, so yeah. So I'm gonna have to understand how you actually upload missions and how to find out who did them. But I guess this is kind of transparent if you mention it like that. So there we are, still listening.
Anblasen.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Fünfundzwanzig Meter.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kanoi, wir sind auf.
Hey, yes. But, I mean, that's amazing, isn't it? And if you have been serving on these ships and you still like the game, it must be good. So, I would take your opinion some particular weight. I mean, if you have been actually serving on the ships, you might be like, ooh, they didn't simulate it correctly, and there is this and that detail missing. But if you still say that the game is good, this gives the game, from my estimation, that gives the game particular credibility. Beautiful light, isn't it? The rising sun. Well, rising, it's up, but still deep on the eastern horizon, and this gives some beautiful light. And so these kind of colors that you get in the game, they are simulated so great. You have this kind of soft red light from the sunrise reflecting on the hull. I really love that. Yeah, okay, yeah. So damage control is not yet well implemented, I understand. By the way, do you remember that for months I had that problem that whenever there was no officer present on the conning tower to do the lookouts, that the crew didn't do it. And for some non-apparent reason, now it works again. And I do have 2 crewmates up there doing the observation, doing the watch while no officer is present. And for months, I mean real life months, and in-game maybe a year or something, that just didn't work. So whenever there was no officer present on the bridge, no seaman, no sailor was actually manning the observation positions. Yeah, so pretty good that it's working again, but I have no idea why. Why? No. Another hour would bring them there, and it would bring us there, right in front of them. Perfect. By the way, let's give it a save. Some dedicated save.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
So we could just wait it out here now. So put ourselves onto a perpendicular position to their course and then stop the engines and wait for them to pass by. Distance. Yeah, pretty close. But this is just guesswork at the moment. So let's stop the engines and give me a hydrophone check, please. Again, the crew, off-watch crew, running to the fore compartment to give dive ballast. Two crewmates have manned depth steers and some officer already had opened the valves to flood the ballast tank. Ah, it's already in view. Okay.
25 Meter.
Yeah, okay, so it's already visible. Nice. So that was a good maneuver. So we put ourselves right into the correct position to intercept them.
35 Meter.
But guys, you can step away from battle stations.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Bestätigt.
Herr Kapitän?
So we should get some sound signal. The contact, and yeah, it's pretty much where I had guessed, predicted it to be. Something like that, yeah. So we are maybe a bit too close to their line of course. Sooner or later we might want to do a bit of reverse thrust. So there they are, 4 miles. 4 miles away.
Kleine Fahrt zurück.
And let's go for periscope depth.
Auf Seerohrtiefe.
Yeah, let's just make sure that we don't broach the surface. So Mr. Arles, our first mechanic now, is given advice for the depth steers to make sure that they keep the depth, and that must have been pretty tricky.
10 Meter.
That must have been pretty tricky in real life
Boot für Rundblick eingesteuert.
to really keep the boat on periscope depth and not broaching through the surface. I think that needed a lot of skill. Yeah, you can play Wolfpack, that other great submarine simulation, and Wolfpack is, yeah, great. So all the physics and ballast tanks and just everything is simulated even more detailed than here in this game. And yeah, that's just great if you have the patience. But there you really get the impression how difficult it is to keep a submarine on a defined depth.
Herr Kaloy?
So the captain, please man the attack periscope, and let's see what we get. Let's get the periscope up. Ah, okay, amazing. I wasn't aware that, yeah, we are pretty close to the coast actually. There should be a yeah, there they come.
Kleine Fahrt zurück.
So good position. Let's give it a save. And yeah, first view onto the maintenance status. I think T1 is under maintenance, isn't it? Yeah, let's see.
Ich benötige hier
Let's
etwas Unterstützung.
add some sailors to support Mr. Schneider doing the maintenance.
Torpedorohr 3 gewartet.
Yeah, from that angle it's still pretty hard to predict what type of ship we have there.
Alle Maschinen, stopp.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
So I'm not yet sure. So, dear watchers, dear stream, any hint is welcome. What are your guesses? What type of ship do we have there? So if you ask me, it pretty much looks like that there are two masts, a fore and one mast abaft, which actually would hint towards the Liberty. So at the moment, my guess would be that this guy is a Liberty, which in turn means that it is armed and that I can't just surface and scare the crew off the ship, because they would just open fire. They have considerable firepower on these merchantmen.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Which is much superior to ours on the submarine. And let's see, pretty much looks like that this is the guy. Let's give it a new save. Velocity 7, obviously. Angle on bow. Let's give it a guess for now. And the distance.
Aktualisieren. Entfernung.
Yeah, a bit less than 2 miles. And it's 70 degrees. Is it consistent with the distance? Yeah, I said a bit less than 2 miles. Yeah, perfectly fine.
Koordinaten setzen.
That does look pretty alright. What's our distance to their course? 5 miles. Maybe I have to retreat a bit, but at the moment, yeah, hard to predict. What's the maintenance status of the torpedoes? So torpedo tube 1 might be maintained.
Erkerleuen. Bestätige. Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
65 degrees. Which means that the angle on bow would be something like 23.
Aktualisieren.
Yeah, a bit more
Entfernung
than
zum Ziel. 2,196 Meter.
1 mile. Yeah, holiday punch, yep. That's completely right, but maybe there is a lot of idle time for the crew, and maybe they did paint it on the way. How are you doing, by the way? Great to have you in. Yes, yeah. Whenever I play U-Boat, I stream it. Or, yeah, like you say, I only play U-Boat when I stream, yeah. So I really would like to share just any progression of my overall campaign with you, so to have some kind of a consistent stream to be shared. No, what do you mean? Like, yeah, shouting orders in German or something? Yeah, I don't. Yeah. You might guess already that I'm not quite the shouting type of guy. Yeah, there are some stereotypes maybe. Well, most of the Germans that I know, they don't shout usually. Now 50 degrees. Let's check it on the map again. That would relate to an angle on bow of roughly 36 degrees. Yeah, okay, so not too bad. And the distance.
Aktualisieren.
Alright.
Entfernung 1,4,3 Meter.
Now maintenance status of the torpedoes.
Geschwindigkeit 7 Knoten.
Okay, 3 and 4 needs maintenance. Let's put down the periscope a bit to make sure that they would not spot us.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren.
40 degrees.
2,7,6 Meter.
Which would mean angle on bow of 50 by calculation. Yeah, alright. That's perfectly fine. think I'm gonna use torpedo tube 3 and 4 for this one, because they are freshly maintained.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet. Wird erledigt, Herr Kaloin.
Aktualisieren. Entfernung.
25 degrees.
9 Meter.
'63. Yeah, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So maybe I should fire the first guy by now.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Lage 6, 9 links. Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Gegnerlage 7, 1 links.
So draught is 7.5.
Rohr 3 gewässert.
Los! Rohr 4 bewässern.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet. Rohr 4 bewässert.
Los! Ja.
So now, fingers crossed
40 Sekunden bis Torpedo.
that we don't get a dot.
Sekunden. 40
So the second one might be a miss. The second one might be a miss. Okay. Serious damage. Fire on board.
20 Sekunden.
Second hit. Yeah. There they are, burning and going down. Boiler's gone. Yeah, Colin. Yeah, nice to have you in. Good evening. I hope you had a good Friday. Good slipping into the weekend. How are you doing? Always a pleasure to have you in the stream.
Rohr 3 geladen.
Oh, by the way, let me be. What does... Oh, okay, sorry. I don't know. What do you mean by braw? What does that mean? Is it a Scots term? Okay, all right. I never heard that, to be honest. Although I once had been trying to hone my Scots a bit by reading Tam O'Shanter and things like that. Robert Burns. But, yeah, well... not quite successful, obviously.
Die Besatzung evakuiert das Schiff.
Yeah, here you can see that they have a whole lot of artillery on the ship. There is big gun there. Not quite sure. Some of these guns might be anti-aircraft, but there is at least there one big gun astern and one big gun afore. So you really should not engage these type of ships on the surface with your tiny little deck gun on a very unstable mount. Yeah, the deck of a submarine, of course, is a much more unstable platform for a gun than a large merchantman's forecastle or quarterdeck, or how you would call it. Yeah, nice to hear that you're fine. Same for me. Having a lot of work actually. But I'm complaining about that since I think 2 months or something. That I'm really in a phase of where I have quite a bit of work accumulating. So it's always like that I do have to do something over the weekend. But yeah, it's always some margin to do late night streaming. So that's perfectly fine. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I could keep up streaming, doing my late night streams, even now. So, by the way, I have to be AFK for 1 minute. Alright, back again. And there we can watch them going down. Radio message, yeah. They are messaging that they are under attack by a German submarine, us. So give it a save. I think we can get back to the surface. The crew has abandoned the ship, so there would not be any gun crew left. And there they are going down.
Anblasen. Aktuelle Tiefe 10 Meter.
Pretty amazing to watch that, isn't it?
Sensorenwechsel.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht. Hüllenbruch, Sie sinken. Wir haben ihn.
Yes, they are going down. So, Mr. Henrik, please man the radio. And let's give that report. So that was a big one. For something like 6,000 or 7,000 tons. Nice. Fuel is down to 49. That should still be enough to bring us easily back home.
Herr Kapitän?
Halbe Fahrt voraus. Alle Maschinen, stopp. Halbe Fahrt voraus. Alle Maschinen, stopp.
Okay, I could send a diver. And what about the wreckage? Do I want to have tea? I can't save anybody of these guys. And Germany is short of supplies, so
Kurs setzen.
let's see that we just get back home. And give it a save here. So I wonder if we would have any of our friends from the US in the stream. Tomorrow it's the 4th of July, so maybe there is already a lot of party going on tonight. I don't know. Really don't quite know what the habits are about that. Some celebration maybe already tonight. I don't know. So, if there are any US guys in the stream already by now, I would be very curious on how you do spend the 4th of July.
Halbe Fahrt voraus. Navigation besetzen.
Yeah, let's see that we improve our navigation correctness.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi?
Station besetzen.
So that was 2 torpedoes and 2 hits. Good for my statistics. So my long-term hit ratio with torpedoes is something like 60%. Which is, I think, pretty alright if you consider that I'm doing this with maximum difficulty level.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloi? Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Wird erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloi.
So let's do another hydrophone check here. On the way back home we might still check now and then if we find some prey. So 38,000 tons to go to finish this. Yeah, it's afternoon, it's still January, winter, so the days are pretty short and the sun's gonna set pretty early. But isn't that beautiful, this view? I really love it. I love the graphics of the game. And there, down we go, the diving process. Just great.
Meter.
45 Meter. Meter. 55 Meter.
50 Meter.
'Looks like there is nothing to hear in our sensor vicinity. Which is pretty much maxed out to almost 90 miles detection radius.
55 Meter.
Ja,
Anblasen. Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Yeah, let's carry on. Cruise speed.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Natürlich,
Position besetzen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Wird erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Herr Kaloi? Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
So, one more hydrophone check.
50 Meter.
Yeah, since the last update, we really get that beautiful sky with the stars in the darkness.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter. E-Motoren wechseln. ...25 Meter.
Now, let's see if we hear something. Wow,
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Cape Verde? Wow, that little set of islands. I mean, this country might only have enough inhabitants to to actually staff one football team. So my guess would be that Capo Verde doesn't have more than 50,000 inhabitants. And imagine now the probability that there are good football players amongst them. So that's pretty amazing if they scored against Argentina. That's pretty amazing. I think it's always kind of correlating to the size of the country. The more population you have, the more people are in the country, the higher the probability is that there are good football players amongst them. That's why I always think that small countries have less chance than large countries. Ah, they have a large diaspora. That sounds like the Irish. Like, I don't quite remember, like, the Irish having 7 million people living on the island, but having another 10 million people living in the diaspora, all spread all over the world. Yeah, I don't know the numbers, just kind of guesswork. Might be similar to Capo Verde. Yeah, it's in the southern Atlantic, if I remember right. So the Atlantic, far south of the Canaries. On the southern hemisphere.
Herr Kaloi?
Yeah, I'm always, yeah, trying to place that joke. If you have an archipelago country like Capo Verde, no single island might have enough area to host a football court of 50 times 100. So I imagine it to be something like that. They have the one goal on one island and the other goal on the other island.
Herr Kaloin?
So obviously no contact. Yeah, we are on the way back home, by the way. We are running short of fuel. We still have plenty of torpedoes, but yeah, we have fulfilled the mission requirements already days ago. Ah, okay. Interesting. One of these guys being half Irish. Yeah.
Anblasen.
All right. So there was no contact. Let's get back to the surface.
Meter.
Meter.
There we are.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Yeah, good save. Better safe than sorry. And let's do the time acceleration. There we go.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloy.
Navigation besetzen.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Yeah, our bosun, Mr. Schulz, took over the watch for now, so my watch officers are Mr. Arnes, Mr. Grade, and Mr. Schulz. And Mr. Grade is my chief engineer. Mr. Schulz is my first mechanic. So these two guys are actually the engineering guys. So when they are on watch, they could easily supervise what's going on at the engines and max out speed or fuel usage. But whenever Mr. Schultz is on watch, he just can't tend to the engines. He is not a technician, he's just a line officer. But he can do something like improving the navigation correctness.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Jawohl, ich kümmere mich darum.
etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Jawohl. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Natürlich, Kapitän.
Tauchen auf.
Yeah, come on, let's do another hydrophone check.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5
Auf
Meter.
E-Motoren wechseln.
50 Meter.
Schraubengeräusch.
Hm.
Heißung 5 Grad.
So let's delete all these contacts here.
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
Now,
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
50 Meter.
Herr Kapitän.
Aktuelle Tiefe 55 Meter.
yeah, let's see if we can get another merchantman.
Jawohl.
Anblasen.
Okay, that would be typical speed of a merchantman, 7 or 8 knots. So let's go for 1 hour and see how far they have moved then.
20 Meter.
10 past 10.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloin, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Äußerste Kraft voraus.
So here we are. Let's see if we get one more hydrophone check on them.
50 Meter.
And there we go for the hydrophone check.
Meter.
Schraubengeräusch.
Yeah.
Heilung 30 Grad.
Let's see. Where do we have the contact?
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter.
Might well be a fisherman.
Anblasen.
55 Meter.
So let's do it quick and carry on.
Meter.
And there we go back to the surface with some beautiful animation.
Herr Kaloin, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Kurs setzen.
Ja,
All right. Yeah. Here we are back to the surface and yeah, that guy's pretty slow, so probably this is really just a fisherman.
Koordinaten setzen.
So let's just carry on and forget about that guy. Mr. Schultz, please
Navigation besetzen.
improve the navigation correctness. Hey, Captain Jimbo. Great to have you in. How are you doing? How was your stream? I guess you were playing U-Boat as well? Yeah, raid. It's a gamer. Yeah, nice to have you visible in the chat. Great to have you in. Yeah, Captain Jimbo, how are you doing? Good evening to you as well. And yeah, it's a gamer. Good evening. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. So I was in a Mediterranean mission, which was part of the Battle of the Mediterranean mission set, and we had to sink something like 7,000 tons. And meanwhile, I think we did more. I think we have done maybe something like 11,000 tons. But this is actually the third stream that I have about that mission. So maybe it's time to get back home. Yeah, it's a gamer. I think you're not the first time in the stream here, right?
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
I'm pretty sure that you had been in before.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen.
Yeah, let's get back home. Or should we? Should we do one more hydrophone check around here? Maybe delete all these contacts which are not relevant anymore. So you might already have recognized that I am playing the game with almost maximum difficulty level, which also means that any contact is not automatically displayed on the map, but you have to do the tracking by yourself. Yes, yeah. As for me, I'm playing the game since 5, 6, 7 years or something, and right now it's the very first time that I ever went to the Mediterranean.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
So, yeah, I pretty much loved that stream.
Aktuelle Tiefe 25 Meter.
Captain Jim, yeah. So let's go down and do one more hydrophone check.
Schraubengeräusch. Handelsschiff. Peilung.
Okay, of course, around here it always might be a fisherman. This is something we have to figure out.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
Meter. Meter. Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloy.
Depth of the sea is 400 to 500 meters still. Even around here where you think that you are relatively close to the coast. Yeah, but The Mediterranean goes pretty deep. By the way, please guys, allow me to be AFK just for 1 minute.
Kapitän.
We have that contact. Maybe we should go for it and at least check whether it's a fisherman or a real target. Yeah, now let's do some time acceleration and finish the hydrophone check.
Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
So, this guy, if we assume that it's just an ordinary merchantman, it might go 1 hour, 8 miles per hour. So after 1 hour, it should be on that radius. And for us, we are gonna go flank speed, which would bring us here after 1 hour. Okay, sorry, Mr. Grade, it's your off watch, but I still need you at the engines. (7), right? Something like that. 6 o'clock in the morning. Visibility improving. And here we are. Any eyes on a smoke column? Nope, not really. So let's do another hydrophone check to figure out where that guy is going towards. Like usual, what's gonna happen? The off-watch crew is all running towards the front compartment, assembling there to give additional diving ballast. crewmates are actually manning the depth steer station, and one officer already has opened the valves to flood the ballast tanks.
Aktuelle Tiefe 5 Meter.
So that's fast, that's good.
Schraubengeräusch. Handelsschiff. Peilung 125 Grad.
Now let's see where the guys actually are.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle?
That looks very good. This is definitely not a fisherman.
Aktuelle Tiefe 45 Meter. Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
So that's worthwhile to chase the guy. Almost 100% sure that this guy is not a fisherman, but a worthwhile target. But nevertheless, let's give it the 5 minutes of right to fold check, just to make sure that there is no any contact around, which we might miss.
Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 125 Grad.
See, there is a second contact, obviously.
Ich erwarte Ihre Befehle.
Nice. So let's give this a Y.
50 Meter.
Schraubengeräusch. Handelsschiff.
Wow,
105 Grad.
there's a lot going on, but I would bet farm on that the other ones are maybe just fishermen.
Herr Kaloin?
Yeah, nice. This guy is definitely a merchantman. Hopefully a more or less easy prey. Yeah, but no more contacts, obviously.
Erwarte Ihre Befehle.
So let's give it a bit of an acceleration.
Anblasen. 35 Meter.
And there we go back to the surface.
Aktuelle Tiefe 15 Meter. Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
how beautiful the sun is just about to rise. It's 20 past 7 in the morning.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Now extrapolating. They're gonna go 8 miles. We are gonna go 16 miles, hopefully. Trying to catch up with these.
Schornsteinrauch. Peilung 40 Grad.
Yeah, makes sense. There they are. What's the estimated distance? 5 miles. Yeah, well. Let's try not to get closer. Something like that. Let's give it one more hydrophone check.
Tauchen auf 50 Meter.
Maintenance status of the torpedoes? Well, they're working on it.
Lenzpumpe einschalten.
Yeah, over the time we have accumulated quite a bit of water in the bilge. That's uncritical.
Aktuelle Tiefe
But
5 Meter.
now and then it makes sense to get the water out.
Herr Kapitän,
25 Meter.
ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Jawohl, ich kümmere mich.
Schraubengeräusch. Handelsschiff. Peilung 60 Grad.
Yeah, that's them. That's the guy that we are chasing, I guess.
Herr Kaloin.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
Aktuelle Tiefe 50 Meter. ...55 Meter.
Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 325 Grad.
Okay, more propellers.
Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloin?
50 Meter.
So probably these two are connected, and yeah, that's probably a fisherman. Pretty sure that this is just a fisherman.
Schraubengeräusch. Handelsschiff. Peilung 160 Grad. Herr Kapitän.
That's this one. Yeah, alright. So this seems to be a fast moving ship.
Herr Kaloy.
Well, they're coming in anyway. They're moving like that. So let's first try to chase down this ship.
Natürlich, Herr Kaloy.
Twenty past 8, and going flank speed for 1 hour.
Anblasen. Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln.
Jawohl, Herr Kaloy.
Herr Kaloy, wir sind aufgetaucht. Schornsteinrauch. Peilung 80 Grad. Alarm! Tanker.
Als
80
eingespielte
Grad.
Mannschaft werden wir dem Feind zeigen, wozu ein U-Boot in der Lage ist.
Okay, guys. There they are. All right, here. All right, very good. This is a large guy, a tanker, yeah. Okay, they're going into extra time. Yeah, that's always. Yeah, maybe you have seen the German match, or at least heard of how it worked, and yeah. It's always bad if you have to go into the extra time, because it's getting more and more kind of a gamble. But maybe a team like Cape Verde might have good chances. I mean, the underdog team might profit from the extra time. So this tanker we are gonna sink. We are gonna sink that guy, and tanker always yields a lot of tonnage.
Alarm beenden.
Now we just have to get in front of them and cut off their way, and sneakily give them some torpedoes. I am not sure. I think this tanker is unarmed, so we might even approach him from the surface. But let's nevertheless try to do that sneaky way.
Torpedorohr 2 gewartet.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's an OL class. OL class, or whatever you would pronounce it like. Hey, Elsalet. Nice to have you in. Good evening. How are you doing? Yeah, thank you again. I remember you subscribing something like a week ago. Maybe it was exactly a week ago. Great to have you in. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. Having a lot of work at my job since a while, but yeah, I still do have that comfort that on Friday I can sleep a little bit longer because I'm doing home office. So this is why I could still maintain doing the stream on Thursday nights, and yeah, Friday and Saturday nights they work perfectly fine. Now let's accelerate time.
Herr Kaloy, wir haben unsere Position erreicht.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
And let's do another hydrophone check too.
50 Meter.
Yeah, well, so yeah, that's pretty comfortable that I could actually do Fridays in home office because it's kind of an hour's drive to commute towards my job. So 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. So it is pretty efficient if I could at least do one day in home office. Yeah, well, this question I had been asked before, but let me make some kind of a secret out of that, because I mean, from all the stuff that I tell you, that I'm living in the Frankfurt area, that I'm living in something like 40 or 50 miles, 50 kilometers west of Frankfurt. And then if I would even tell you my job, yeah, I would still like to stay kind of anonymous.
165 Grad.
45 Meter.
And so I actually wouldn't tell. Yeah, I'm not a politician or something. That was guesses that I got before when I did these commands. So I'm not that obvious, but still, I would like to stay to keep a little bit of kind of, yeah, not giving away who I am in real life. Hey, oh, too bad. To be honest, I would have loved to see Cape Verde win the match. But if it is still in within the extra time, maybe they could still do.
50 Meter.
Okay, you had some advertising. Yeah, I was just explaining that I wouldn't like to tell what my job actually is, because then I would be afraid that, yeah, my anonymity might be broken. Yeah. Yeah, I'm living in the Frankfurt area of Germany. And yeah, perfectly fine. I understand your question, but yeah, this is some kind of basic boundary condition that I decided to put upon me, not to tell about my job in detail. Actually, I do have a kind of an engineering background, and this might be why I am so fascinated by this game. I mean, these submarines, they were really a piece of great, engineering.
Jawohl. Wie lauten Ihre Befehle, Herr Kaloin?
Yeah, this is definitely Fisherman, and this is definitely a merchantman moving with something like 7 or 8 knots.
Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Yeah, Soviet modern submarines, yep. Well, so, I mean, if it was it Russian, okay, but still, I would always be a bit suspicious about movies like that being maybe mostly propaganda. Okay, 37. Oh, we really have to take care that we don't run out of fuel like that. Maybe after this encounter, we really have to turn back home. Okay, yeah, okay, all right.
Anblasen.
Sounds interesting. So, by the way, I guess you do play U-Boat by yourself, don't you?
30 Meter.
Meter. Auf Dieselmotoren
And
wechseln.
here we are.
Herr Kaloin, wir sind aufgetaucht.
No smoke to be seen. Okay. Oh, yeah. There is smoke to be seen.
Alle Maschinen, stopp!
Yes, of course. Yeah. Stupid question, right? Hey, by the way, I just see that the number of watches has been going up to. Yeah, nice, guys. Great to have you in. So don't worry, I don't see any names or something. So you are completely anonymous, and it's perfectly fine if you just watch and lurk. But of course, I always try to encourage you to put some comments into the chat. I'm always curious on what your experience with the game is, where you're from, roughly. Yeah, because this is the most fascinating thing about streaming from my point of view, that you get in contact with people from all over the world. Yeah, I'm far away from that actually, so this is really just a hobby. So I think you would have to put a factor of 100 or 1,000 onto the number of viewers to actually make a living out of that. Yeah, that's the good thing. I'm just doing this from the point of view of an aficionado. It's just a hobby. But still, of course, I'm always glad. Like right now, there is loads of people coming in. So please, people, even if you have that feeling that the chat is a bit of private, don't hesitate to participate. But on the other hand, don't feel pushed. It's perfectly fine if you just watch, if you just want to watch and not communicate. Perfectly fine. Yes. Yeah, exactly. This game is not so famous, but it has a nice little community which I pretty much enjoy. So there they are coming in. Let's give it a save. And let's wait it out for them to come in.
Schornsteinrauch. Peilung. 70 Grad. Kleine Fahrt voraus. Alle Maschinen, stopp.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet.
They are coming in.
Kleine Fahrt voraus.
Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Ah, come on, I should
Auf Zero.
dive. Get down, please. Wow, Cape Verde has equalized again. Amazing. That's amazing against Argentina. Colin. Hey, wow. So let's dive. Maybe we can take them by surprise and frighten them off to
Augenblick eingesteuert.
abandon ship.
Auf E-Motoren wechseln.
Anker 75 Grad.
Now let's check the attack periscope.
Ich könnte etwas Hilfe gebrauchen. Jawohl, Herr Kaloi. Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 120 Grad.
It was this one, wasn't it? And velocity, I think it was 7. Seven or 8.
Schraubengeräusch. Handelsschiff. Peilung 75 Grad. Schraubengeräusch. Peilung 260 Grad.
Let's stop the engines. Now, what about the distance?
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren.
Less than
2 Meter.
less than 2 miles. $60. Yeah, let's see if we are gonna get that tanker. Yeah, now let's keep fingers crossed that we can decently home in something like 2 torpedoes and sink the guy. Estimated tonnage of this type of ship is 10,000 tons. Yeah, would be nice to get that. Yeah, you're completely right, Colin, but I'm never trusting much on my aiming skills, so I at least do 2 torpedoes onto one of these guys to make sure that at least one of them homes in and kills the target. If you play on very high, like maximum difficulty level, you have to actually put in all these figures, and that might turn out to be a little bit of a problem.
Schussunterlagen aktualisieren. Entfernung 1, 5, 3, 7 Meter. Aktualisieren. Entfernung zum Ziel 1, 5, 2, 8 Meter.
There they are coming in. What's the maintenance status of my torpedoes? Completely forgot about that. So I could fire torpedo 2 and 3.
Torpedorohr 4 gewartet.
The draught is 12 meters, so go to 12.5.
Ich benötige hier etwas Unterstützung.
Betrachten Sie es als erledigt, Herr Kaloi.
Kleine Fahrt voraus.
Torpedorohr 1 gewartet. Torpedorohr 5 gewartet.
Alle Maschinen stopp.
Ah, come on. Maybe I should
Kleine
get
Fahrt
back a
zurück.
bit.
Alle Maschinen stopp.
Ah, what's the matter? Hey, the guy has turned around, moving away.
Kurs setzen. Äußerste Kraft voraus. Anblasen.
Aktuelle Tiefe 10 Meter.
Auf Dieselmotoren wechseln. Kurs auf diese Koordinaten setzen.
Herr Kaloi, wir sind aufgetaucht.
Okay, so Argentina is in the lead again, Colin. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what that guy is doing. Looks like he spontaneously changed course. However, yeah, it's getting late. So 2:30 and I'm gonna go to bed. So, guys, thanks for joining. That was a pleasure. Quite a few people dropped into the stream. So even if you didn't drop any comment into the chat, perfectly fine to have you. But particular thanks to you guys who were actually going into the communications. So, Elzalet, it's a pleasure to have you. So you're pretty new in the channel, and I'm pretty glad to have you for these kind of little communications. Call in like usual. Thanks and have a good night. I think we are gonna see tomorrow. Captain Jimbo, if you are still there, thanks a lot for the raid. And It's a Gamer, same for you. I think you dropped in with Captain Jim. So it was great to have you in the stream. And of course, last but not least, weight loss. Beautiful discussion that we had about different games and Holiday Punch as well. Great that you dropped into the stream. So I'm definitely going to continue this one tomorrow night, Saturday night. So if you're not out on a celebration party for Independence Day, so it would be great to have you here in the stream. So guys, see you and have a good night. Bye bye.